honors thesis, I studied sustainability certifications and their marketing implications. So I'll just briefly go over a review of the literature. I'll talk about my methodology, my sample, the reliability of the scales that I used, my results, a brief conclusion, and then I'll open it up for questions. So a 2015 Nielsen study found that 66% of American consumers are willing to pay more money for sustainable products and services. So what does this mean for companies who engage in sustainable practices? They want to find a way to make their customers see that their products and their services are sustainable because they can benefit financially from the good that they do. Certifications are a great way to show consumers that companies engage in sustainable business practices. These logos up here represent just a few of the sustainability certifications available to companies on a global basis. You may have seen some of these on product packaging before. It's important to note that when you look at these different types of certifications, there are some with more stringent regulations than others, so some are a lot more easy to obtain. Multiple research studies have found that companies with some kind of a sustainability certification may receive financial benefits as a result of having that certification, as suggested by the previous Nielsen poll. However, other studies indicate the opposite. Why does this happen? As you saw before in my previous slide, there are so many different types of certifications. All of these labels can confuse consumers to the point that they become ineffective. The consumers just don't register the message when they see a label on a product package. This is something called sustainability marketing myopia. It's where they just don't register the message. In addition, as I mentioned before, some companies and some certifications are a little bit more relaxed regarding sustainability than others. Companies might actually obtain these easy-to-get certifications to reap the financial benefits, the perceived financial benefits, but they might not actually truly act in a sustainable manner. In order to stand out from other brands with those less stringent sustainability certifications, sustainable companies need to make sure that their consumers trust them. Simply having a logo on a package might not be effective enough. They might need to explain what they did in their business practices to actually deserve that logo. Once companies establish that trust with their consumers and show that their sustainability efforts are actually genuine, they will start to see those financial benefits, as with increased purchase intention and willingness to pay a price premium among their consumers. As a result of this conflicting literature, I decided to study the impact of a sustainability certification logo and displays on retail shelves on consumer purchase intention, their willingness to pay a price premium, and their trust in brands. I chose to examine a specific certification called B Corp certification. It's offered by a nonprofit organization called B Lab, located in Wayne, Pennsylvania, in the Philadelphia area. And the reason I chose this certification is that it is available to all different sizes and types of companies, so your marketing consulting firm or your consumer packaged goods company. In addition, this type of certification is very stringent. It's very hard to obtain. Companies with it have to go through a rigorous assessment process, and on top of it, once they actually achieve this certification, they're audited every 2 years. So I'll talk a little bit about my methodology now. My study consisted of survey research distributed through social media. Respondents were encouraged to imagine shopping at a grocery store in the freezer aisle, and they were exposed to 3 different conditions. The first was just an image of a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Now, as you may or may not know, Ben & Jerry's is actually a certified B Corp, so they do have the certification being studied. The second condition was the picture of the Ben & Jerry's pint with the B Corp logo and an explanation, brief explanation of what having that certification means. And then the third was the image of the pint, and it encouraged the consumer to imagine having this sign next to the retail display. And this sign here, it's a little bit small on the slide, but it gives a lot more detailed information about what companies have to go through to become certified B Corps. After each condition, respondents were asked a series of 10 scaled questions. 4 measured their intent to purchase the product, 3 measured their willingness to pay a price premium for the product, and 3 measured their trust in the company. And they answered these 10 questions each time they were exposed to one of these 3 conditions. All 3 scales were adapted from scales found in the Marketing Scales Handbook, available in the library. They were also asked standard demographics questions, as well as scaled questions about their concern for the environment, how often they examine product packages and labels, and their political views. And I'll talk briefly about my sample. In total, after distributing this survey through social media, I received 133 responses. As you can see, the sample was not very diverse with regards to gender, but it was more diverse with regards to age, level of education, and employment. Also, in general, the average respondent was concerned about the environment, had moderate to somewhat liberal political leanings, and often examined product packages and labels. And I'll just go through the reliability of my scales quickly. So scales with a Chromebox alpha of 0.7 or higher are considered to be reliable. For all three of my conditions, the three scales were highly reliable, indicating that respondents answered the same way for each question in the scale. And I'll talk briefly about a couple results that I found. First, I summed up the mean scores of the scales and calculated the mean scores for the purchase intention, willingness to pay a price premium, and consumer trust scales for each of the three conditions. The results showed that the mean scores increased with each condition, indicating that providing more information about the certification can increase all three factors in the consumer's minds. I have no idea what happened with that, but I also ran regression analysis to determine the impact that consumer trust has on purchase intention, as well as willingness to pay a price premium. The results of these regression tests were significant for all three conditions of the study, confirming the literature that suggests that consumers must trust a brand before the company can benefit financially from a sustainability certification. Another interesting finding was that the regression test showed statistically significant results that respondents' political leanings impacted their purchase intention and willingness to pay a price premium for the second two conditions, so the pint with the logo and the pint with the retail display. And then my conclusion is that the primary takeaway from this research is that providing consumers with more information about a company's sustainability certification can separate the company from others who just choose to use a certification logo or nothing at all. This results in an increase overall in consumer trust in the company, also increasing in the consumer's purchase intention for the products and their willingness to pay a price premium for the company's products and services. There are so many different ways that companies can advertise their sustainability certifications to consumers. Keeping in mind that more information is better, companies just need to find out what works with their own branding strategies. Any questions?